The Justice Department wants at least some transcripts from the House committee investigating the January 6th attack on the Capitol. It's unclear which transcripts from the more than 1,000-plus conversations the DOJ wants. The transcripts could be used as evidence in the Justice Department's separate inquiry into the Capitol insurrection and in other potential criminal investigations. For more, Scott MacFarlane joins me from Capitol Hill. He is, of course, a CBS News congressional correspondent who tracks all things January 6th. Scott, there's a big test of the Justice Department late today in its prosecution of accused January 6th seditious conspirators. Walk us through why this is the case.
To our surprise, Ed, there were two big tests just a short while ago. In the biggest U.S. Capitol riot prosecution, the case of the accused Oath-keeper far-right seditious conspirators. There was a challenge late today from defense lawyers trying to get that seditious conspiracy charge dropped and trying to get the trial moved out of Washington, D.C. Both are striking possibilities. Let's go through them one at a time. The Oath-keeper defendants say the seditious conspiracy charge should be dismissed immediately, arguing that in the law, you cannot conspire seditiously against the legislative branch of government, that because this is a crime allegedly taken part here at the Capitol against the U.S. Congress, against the vice president in a legislative role, a seditious conspiracy charge can't apply constitutionally. It would have to be against the executive branch. The judge heard several hours of arguments about that today, is taking it under advisement. Watch this ruling to see if it lays down a marker for this case and other conspiracy cases. There are dozens more from January 6th. Now about the change of venue. These 9 accused conspiracy defendants are seeking to move their case to the Eastern District of Virginia and making a series of provocative arguments that the media coverage in D.C. is unfair, that the January 6th Select Committee is poisoning the jury in D.C., and that it'd be more fair, there'd be a more fair jury outside the district where they say everybody in D.C. was a victim January 6th. It was the judge counterpunching those arguments, saying it's the same media in Virginia as it is in D.C., plus you can't find anybody in America who hasn't heard of January 6th. And he also argues that moving this case could lay down a marker, opening a floodgate for other defendants. 2 big challenges today for the prosecutors. No answer from the judge. We'll likely get those in the weeks ahead.
Isn't the Eastern District of Virginia the one just across the river in Alexandria, or is it the one in Richmond?
It's 8 miles away. It's in Alexandria, Virginia. It's the same television. It's the same radio. And you know who said that, Ed? The judge said that.
Yeah.
So we'll see if the defense argument gets very far.
I don't know. If I were the judge, I'd laugh that one out of the room. I mean, it's just too cute. Look, beyond that, where does the January 6th committee stand right now in landing some of its key yet elusive witnesses? And I'm curious, Scott, when you talk to the members of the committee, the staff of the committee, these hearings are going to begin June 9th. To what end? All right, there's no legislation they're going to pass. They aren't the prosecutors in this case. It's essentially just court of public opinion. I mean, to what end are they doing this at this point?
Well, to be clear, they say they might be proposing legislation based on what they've found, and they want to get these hearings done by summer so they have time to propose legislation this Congress. Doesn't mean they'll pass it, but they want to propose it. To what end is a great question, because there's still no witness list. They have yet to make progress talking to those 5 Republican House colleagues they're seeking to subpoena. No Rudy Giuliani, no Mark Meadows, no Steve Bannon, no Vice President Pence or Donald Trump. And there's no way for them to require those witnesses to show up at a primetime hearing if they can't get them to show up at a private deposition. There was one January 6th committee member today who told one of our CBS News colleagues that this won't be the next Marvel movie. It's not going to be grand theater when they have the primetime hearings. So, Ed, it's unclear if they have the capacity to even change hearts and minds. So it's hard to say to what end these hearings will occur.
And if you're saying that it's not going to be that interesting anyway, it begs the question of why should they merit wall-to-wall coverage, which I suppose is a question our bosses will have to ask, and we'll see what the committee says. Hey, on another front, Congress is trying to move on its attempts to relieve the shortage of baby formula, which has become a sort of slow-rolling but big crisis now for Washington as it tries to respond to this. What hurdles is it hitting, and what, if anything, is this legislation actually going to do?
This is an emergency, but it's hitting the traditional congressional hurdles. Ed, there is a proposal to get emergency supplemental money to the FDA and the Department of Health and Human Services to help them respond to this shortage, but it immediately hit the pitfalls it hits in Congress, where the minority party says this agency has a ton of funding already. That doesn't address the problem, getting them a bunch of money. There have been proposals for new oversight, new investigations of the makers of baby formula, especially Abbott. There'll be a hearing here Thursday with the FDA commissioner. He'll get some tough questions about oversight. But again, if you look for a silver bullet solution to this problem, first of all, it probably doesn't exist. And if it does exist, it most certainly does not exist in Congress, where silver bullet solutions go to die.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Scott MacFarlane on Capitol Hill, we thank you.